Imagine an empire where the line between religion and sin blurred so dangerously that even the most sacred rulers indulged in the most obscene pleasures. An empire where sex was not just an act of passion, but a weapon of power, humiliation, and survival. And at the center of this twisted world stood a woman, rising from the filth of brothels and public stages, who would eventually rule as the most powerful empress the Byzantine Empire had ever seen. This is not just a story of lust, scandal, and corruption. This is the rise of Empress Theodora. But to understand her, you must first understand the horrifying sexual practices of Byzantium, the empire that turned degradation into entertainment and vice into politics. The Byzantine Empire, often celebrated for its dazzling churches, golden mosaics, and sophisticated theology, hid an underworld so disturbing it would shock even the Romans. Public sexuality wasn't just tolerated, it was displayed. Prostitutes filled the streets of Constantinople. The hippodrome, meant for chariot racing, was also a marketplace for flesh. Even monasteries, supposedly holy spaces, became infamous for secret orgies and forbidden pleasures. But what made Byzantine sexual practices truly horrific was the humiliation involved. Pleasure was less about intimacy and more about dominance. Women were paraded in public, stripped, and forced to perform degrading acts for entertainment. Many of these acts were sanctioned by powerful men, senators, generals, and even emperors. Into this world was born Theodora. She was not the daughter of nobility, but of a bear trainer who worked at the hippodrome. When her father died, her family was left destitute. At just a child, Theodora's mother introduced her and her sisters to the only career open to poor girls in Byzantium: sexual performance. From the very beginning, Theodora was trained in the art of seduction and humiliation. She appeared in pantomimes and lewd stage acts, where clothing was optional, and her body was used as both a spectacle and a tool of survival. Contemporary writers described her in ways that make modern readers recoil. Procopius, the imperial historian, claimed that Theodora engaged in acts so degrading that they can hardly be spoken aloud. She allegedly performed in plays where she reenacted ancient myths in explicit, shocking detail, sometimes involving dozens of men in a single performance. Whether exaggerated or not, these stories reflected the Byzantine obsession with both demonizing and fetishizing women who dared to rise above their station. For Theodora, sex was more than performance. It was strategy. She learned early on that men in Byzantium could be manipulated through their vices. She charmed officials, courtiers, and even foreign dignitaries. She traveled to North Africa, where she became the mistress of a provincial governor, only to leave him when his power waned. Every scandal hardened her. Every humiliation sharpened her wit, and every man who underestimated her became another stepping stone in her climb toward power. Theodora embodied a dangerous truth in Byzantium, that in an empire obsessed with controlling women's bodies, the very same body could become a weapon of conquest. Her turning point came when she caught the eye of Justinian, the ambitious nephew of Emperor Justin I. Unlike others, Justinian was captivated not just by her beauty, but by her intelligence, cunning, and resilience. Despite opposition from the court, and despite Theodora's scandalous past, Justinian defied tradition and married her. The Byzantines were horrified. A former prostitute as empress? A woman once mocked in the hippodrome now sitting beside the emperor? To many it was unthinkable. To Theodora it was destiny. She did not merely wear the crown, she wielded it. As co-ruler, she passed laws protecting women from exploitation, outlawed forced prostitution, and provided shelters for those abandoned by society, the very women she once stood beside in the brothels of Constantinople. But make no mistake, she ruled with an iron will. Theodora was ruthless, cunning, and utterly unafraid to spill blood to secure her power. Perhaps the greatest test of her reign came during the Nika Revolt of 532. Angry mobs threatened to overthrow Justinian, and his advisors begged him to flee the city. It was Theodora who stood firm. She reminded her husband that royal purple is the noblest shroud. If she was to die, she would die as an empress. Her courage turned the tide. Justinian stayed, crushed the rebellion, and slaughtered tens of thousands of citizens in the hippodrome. Behind that decision was Theodora, the woman who had once been paraded in the same arena, now deciding the fate of those within it. Theodora's story is both horrifying and awe-inspiring. She emerged from the darkest corners of Byzantine sexual depravity to become one of the most influential women in history. She proved that even in a society that degraded women, a woman could turn shame into strength, scandal into strategy, and lust into lasting power. Her reign changed laws, shaped an empire, and left a legacy so enduring that she was later declared a saint in the Eastern Orthodox Church. But her story cannot be told without the shadows, the horrific practices, the exploitation, and the brutal world of Byzantine sexuality that forged her. Theodora's rise is a reminder that history's most powerful figures are often born from its darkest corners. From humiliation to glory, from sin to sainthood, her life is proof that power is never given, only taken. If you found this story as shocking as it is fascinating, make sure to subscribe for more hidden, dark, and twisted tales from history that textbooks never dare to tell. And remember, behind every golden empire lies a world of shadows waiting to be uncovered.